What is happening, y'all? Cowboy here, and welcome to my, I guess we'll call it a guide for Way of the Wise. And in particular, what we're talking about today is getting kitted out in all that crazy ethereal gear and some things you can do to minimize the grind and improve your chances at loot. So first off, let's talk about save scumming, because save scumming has been patched. I didn't believe it myself until I went through and tested it. But basically, if you go into the Forge now, you may remember we used to be able to back up saves, and I could do this, and I could make like 5 in a row. And if I didn't get a Benzai 10, I could just reload my save. I can't do that anymore. If I reloaded my save, the third craft would still be a Daiko Grace with low attack, melee, and grapple. So save scumming is basically dead. Now, there are a couple small instances where save scumming still works. Sudama rerolling, which for those unfamiliar with Sudama rerolling, the idea is you go to the big Sudamas, the one you find in Dark Zones. Let me see, there's a good example of one over here in Awakening. I've covered this before, but basically, if you go to the Dark Zone in the Viper Sanctum, the Sudama there, if I wanted to, reroll this Magatama, I would go to him, drop the Magatama, drop another one for payment, and it would reroll it. If I didn't get what I want, I would quit out to the start screen and do it again. That still works. You can still do that. You can also save some scrolls. Scrolls are almost like a tree with a bunch of branches, and every time you pick up a new affix on the scroll, it's going to change. So to better explain this, if I did this scroll with somebody else and we both had it, and I decided to take no affixes, I just kept it, and I decided to pass it every single time, my rolls would be the same as somebody else's rolls. However, as soon as I pick something, let's say I played this one, and I decided to change Mystic Dyad, suddenly I'm getting different rolls from the other guy, unless he also changed off Mystic Dyad. But every time you pick something to change on a scroll, you are re-rolling the possibilities. So what this means is, if I were to back up my save at this scroll right now, I could run it once, see what these fixes are if I didn't like it, run it again, see what they are if I didn't like it, reload the save. On the reloaded attempt, I would change Mystic Dyad, see what the new choices were, run it again, see what the new choices were, reload the save. Obviously, with doing this, you are going to lose out on any loot you get while farming, so it's less than ideal, but if you have something like this where it's almost perfect and you're just trying to get that one last fix on it, it may be worth doing. It's what I did to get Sentience Charge on my scroll right here. Beyond that, when it comes to getting a Yasakani of your specific grace, and this one is going to lose any bonuses your Yasakani has, but you can use a combination of doing the Sudama rerolling along with the Stone of Penance. Now, to explain Stone of Penance, what's going to work here is when I surrender an accessory, in this case I surrendered a Water Dragon, up in the left it says Penitence and it's at 0. It says chance of increased rarity 90, increased value 80. What that means is as I kill stuff and that bar fills up, when it gets full, I can use Resting Rites, and there's going to be a 90% chance that this item is going to become ethereal, and an 80% chance that it's going to go from plus 24 to plus 25. When items become ethereal, they are given a grace. In addition to that, items will usually get one extra affix added onto them when they are transformed. So something like this, it's going to become ethereal, and that other slot below proficiency bonus is also going to get filled with something. If I don't get the grace I want, I could reload to a previous save, trade my Yasakani to the Sudama, get a new Yasakani, and try it again. Obviously, once again, similar to the tactic with the scrolls, this involves refarming and then reloading a save, so you are missing out on loot. Now, as for some stuff to just look at boosting our chances to get loot and how to get some specific stuff, let's talk about some strategies that are a lot more consistent. And the first is it's actually a save sum strat, but one that is a bit less stressful. Now, this is at the end of Wise. But the Eye of the Beholder mission, the first time you complete this on Wise, you're going to get a guaranteed ethereal Yasakani on that mission. Now, what you can do is get up to that shrine right before Otaku Maru. You can back up your save, fight Otaku Maru, see what the Yasakani is. If it isn't what you want, reload your save. Fight Utakumaru, rinse and repeat. That's what I did to get this. It doesn't have any stars on it, but it was the last piece I really needed to get the set together, because that's what let me do my 6-7. So if you are looking for a specific Grace Yasakani, I think that's going to be the best method, because doing the Penitence Stone method, you're missing out on all the loot that you farm while leveling up the Penitence. So something to keep in mind. Beyond that, we have the Lucky Drop stat now. Now there is Lucky Drop for accessories, armor, and weapons. And what this does is it's going to increase the likelihood of obtaining the piece of armor you have, not the specific grace. So what I mean by this is, let's say I really like Lone Wolf's Cuirass. Lone Wolf's Cuirass is a solid piece. It has a good toughness to weight ratio. Because I have Lucky Drop on, if I go and I farm, I'm going to get a lot of them. Just looking at my loot right here, we have Lone Wolf, Lone Wolf, Lone Wolf, Lone Wolf. And here's 1, 2, 3 more, and another one that's blue. So that is basically how it works. If you have on weapon, for example, I'll see a bunch of Tsuchigumo fists or a bunch of dual bloodstained cleavers. If I have it on with accessory, I have a higher chance at Magatama's dropping. Not necessarily a Yasakani Magatama, but just Magatamas in general, or I'd have a higher chance of Omamori's dropping. So using the Lucky Drop mechanic can certainly help a lot for when you're trying to kit out your build, especially if, let's say I wanted to make a whole set that was Imperial Monks because of key recovery speed. I could use Imperial Monk in every piece along with Lucky Drop, and then I'll have a higher chance of more Imperial Monk type stuff dropping, like this. Now, moving on from there, 2 other big things that are going to help with drops. The first are going to be ethereal item drop rates on scrolls. As you can see, this is a rate of ethereal item drop rate. Beyond that, there is a new item that was added into the game. I don't have one right now. I threw it away without noticing. But I can show it off via refashion. So this is a new helm that was added into the game, and it is down here, the Sudama Skull Hat. This is going to increase the drop rate of divine and ethereal gear. You get it randomly while playing Wise. If you finish every single mission in Dream of the Wise, you get the crafting plans for this so that you can make it yourself. And this is a nice helm to have if you're going to be farming a bunch, just to help increase those drops. On top of that, let's talk about the Stone of Penitence, because that is actually a drop mechanic. Now, along with boosting up your accessories, every time you max out the penitence on the scroll, you can choose to increase the pain. While this is going to make all the enemies in the world stronger, it's also going to increase the chance of better loots. So basically, getting this up as high as you can comfortably play is going to help you to get even more loots. Along with that, let's also talk about level sync. I'm not a big fan of level sync. I don't use it a lot, but at this point in the game, it is helpful. Now, the way level sync works is when you put level sync on, what it's going to do is pull your character down to the recommended level that it feels is appropriate for that mission. So a better example to showcase this would be to go to Region 1. So let's say I've beaten Wise, but I'm trying to farm Snake Boy for some reason. This is a 389 mission. But if I do level sync, what's going to happen is, even though I am level 451, it's going to downscale me to 389. However, at the same time, it's also going to base the loot drops on the highest level mission I've completed. So if we go over here to the Dragon Clan, I've knocked that out, and that's a 501. So what that means is, even though I am doing a mission that's not even level 400, I have a chance of getting 501 tier gear because I am playing with level sync on. So by doing level sync, your Penitence Stone, and then stuff like ethereal item drop rate on both the Sudama hat, in addition to your scroll, you can drastically increase the chances of getting the loot that you want. Now, talking about loot in particular, because there have been changes to blacksmithing, there are some things we can still do. Namely, there are 2 new affixes that we're going to see a lot of that have been added, and they are Rarity and Grace Inheritance. So what is great about these things in particular is using something that has Grace Inheritance will change your gear into that Grace as long as it is already a Grace or it does not have a set bonus on it. So to better explain this, let's say that, let me go to a, just to find a piece. Let's say, how to find something that doesn't have a grace. Let me go down towards the bottom here. There we go. Let's say for some reason I was like, oh, you know what? This would be perfect to use. What I could do is pick that up, and then I could go over... Oh, no, I can't because it's purple. Never mind. Let's use... Screw it. Let's use this. Let's say it's a Kala, but I wanted this to be Amune Uzumi. I could use this along with Grace Inheritance Ame no Uzume, and I could turn this into Ame no Uzume. In addition to that, we are able to upgrade stuff that is divine this way. So let's say the Abisu is the farming set. You know, it's a good luck based set. Let's say I wanted to use that. I could take Abisu, I could use this, and then I'm going to turn it into an Ame no Uzume. Now you'll notice that it is still going to be divine. And this is important because after I have turned it into Ame no Uzume, I'm then going to do what's known as a rarity inheritance. I'll use something like this, and that is going to make it into an ethereal item. Now, I don't know if this is a bug, but right now in testing, we found that you have to do grace first and then rarity inheritance. For whatever reason, if you do rarity inheritance first to make something ethereal and then try to do grace inheritance, it doesn't seem to work. I'm assuming this will get patched because that it doesn't make sense that it functions that way, but just something to keep in mind. And honestly, that is how you're going to get a lot of your gear. In terms of getting kitted out, one of the best things to do is grab a piece that you like the Lone Wolves, for example, then run Lucky Equipped Armor on your accessory. And then as the game starts dropping Lone Wolves, when I find one that I'm like, oh, this is it. You know, I hate poison. This is what I've been looking for. I'll take that Lone Wolf, and then I'll go over here, and I'll be like, all right, where's my inheritance? There we go. Now I got my perfect Ame no Uzumi Lone Wolf. That is going to be how you really get your sets loaded out. Because, frankly speaking, the chances of you finding the exact piece you want with the stars you want for the grace you want is pretty damn low. But because we're able to use Grace Inheritance, that'll make it a little bit easier to put a set together with the graces that you want to have in particular. Now, when it comes to accessories, unfortunately, there's really no way to do that. Accessories are very much just gonna kind of be the luck of the draw. So, you know, just keep chucking accessories into that stone and hope for the best. Like this Omamori, this was literally like all of my RNG for the year was spent getting this item, I think, because those 2 stars on a Magatsui set is just, it's like perfection. So some other things to touch on briefly here. Now we've covered Scumming, we've covered all that stuff. When it comes to doing scrolls, 100 incense is going to be valuable. You can get more doing co-op, but anytime you beat a main mission for the first time, you're going to get 109 incense. So keep that in mind if you're really low and you're like, shit, I'm out. Check the DLC, make sure you did the DLC missions, make sure you've done all the main missions. That's going to be a good way to get more of that stuff, but keep in mind it is pretty scarce. When you do a scroll, there's a chance for you to get some more, or there's a chance for you to get the scroll to drop, which actually, let's talk about that, because scrolls are quite important. Now, you can get scrolls from other players. I got this from Pete. Basically, what happened is Pete hosted a lobby with this scroll. I kept running it with him over and over, and eventually the scroll dropped for me. Now, for this to happen, Pete needs to host the room, and Pete needs to be wearing the scroll. Just being in the lobby and him having him on are both considered like separate chances for it to drop, but with him doing that, I was able to get the scroll after a couple tries. So if there's a scroll out there that you need, like for example, when I was like, you know, I basically went to the Nioh 2 Discord and was like, I need Ultimate Courage. And somebody had Ultimate Courage and they helped me on out. So if there's a particular fixed effect that you're looking for, obviously join the Discord and ask around. I do say that please, if you're joining the Discord and you're asking for help, at the bare minimum, do some research. And I've noticed a lot of people joining the Discord lately, and they're just like, what's a good dual blade build? Or how play fists? And it's like, you know, if you're gonna join the Discord, please at least inform yourself on the most basic shit, you know? Like, people are there willing to help, but I don't want people coming from my content to the Nioh Discord and expecting to have their hand held and their ass wiped, you know? Like, at this point in the game, if y'all have played Nioh long enough that you're all the way up to Wise, you should know enough stuff to not ask dumb questions. The Discord is a great resource. It's filled with a bunch of really chill people. So if you join it, be chill. I'll have a link to that in the description. But be chill, or I'm gonna find you, I'm gonna beat you with my crazy fist build. But honestly, I think that about wraps it up. The biggest thing here is, you know, using rarity inheritance, using grace inheritance. And until you get the loot drops, you can craft stuff out. For example, these dual bloodstained cleavers, these were crafted. I crafted a divine pair of dual bloodstained cleavers, and then I used a grace inheritance to make them Magatsuhi, and then I used a rarity inheritance to make them ethereal, and then I used a regular inheritance to put transform bonus courage on them. And as you can see, I mean, these are nice cleavers. They don't have a star effect on them, but I could run them along with lucky drop weapon and then do that until I found a really nice pair of cleavers. So there are things that you can do to increase your chances on Wise and help get kitted on out. But the number one thing is it's gonna take time. You know, there is no safe scumming easy route to get super decked out gear in Wise. So keep that in mind as you play. And you know, I know that the end game grind isn't for everybody, but if you enjoyed playing through Demon and you want more Nioh and you're interested in the higher difficulty, hopefully this video helps kind of get you on your way with finding all that loot. So either way, I'm going to wrap this one up here. Felt like I was rambling a lot, but a lot of this was just kind of, you know, generic stuff that I wanted to cover because it was questions that were getting asked a lot on videos and on stream. So hopefully it helps a couple of y'all out there. So either way, I'm going to wrap this one on up. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all next time.